In today's video, Hollywood reacts to President Trump's huge tariff announcement. The mayor of Newark in New Jersey is suing the Trump administration, and President Trump signed a bombshell executive order that you have to see.
Lawmakers in Newark are worried a detention center reopened by ICE officials to house immigrants could be in violation of local and state laws.
Now, that hall is a private for-profit facility with room for more than 1,000 people. Mayor Ross Baraka says that ICE renovated Delaney Hall without the proper work permits, inspections, and certificate of occupancy, and this poses some safety risks. So he has filed a complaint in county court.
New Jersey reporter Tony Yates joins us live from Newark with more on this. Tony.
Well, David and Sandra, at this point, the Trump administration has a stack of lawsuits against various departments, lawsuits that have made very little difference in how they operate. Well, now the city of Newark is adding another lawsuit, hoping to get Delaney Hall closed once again.
Okay, so let's understand what's going on here. Delaney Hall was previously housing immigrant detainees from 2011 to 2017. In 2021, New Jersey enacted a law preventing both public and private entities from entering into a contract with ICE. Now, a federal judge ruled in 2023 that the state cannot prevent private companies from contracting with the federal government for such purposes. So they reopened it, and starting on May 1st, they are now housing illegal aliens, just to be clear on the facts. Now, of course, Democrat mayor, he's crying about this. He doesn't want to go along with this because Democrats, we know, really care more about illegal aliens than American citizens. Don't believe me? Here's what he said.
We're going to stand against it as much as we possibly can, using the letter of the law to do so. The problem is they're not listening to the law. They're not listening to the Supreme Court. They're not listening to federal courts. They're not listening to Superior Court here in New Jersey. So, it puts us in a precarious situation.
Delaney Hall is fully operational now, a privately owned detention facility holding a contract with the federal government to house those people arrested by ICE. Newark joined various community organizations and elected officials months ago to try to keep the then shuttered facility from being reopened after it was closed by the Biden administration years ago. The city says it is operating without proper city permits and not allowing inspections.
The fact that these people have the audacity to first grab detainees and put them in an unsafe place speaks volumes to what they think about humans in general.
No, what actually speaks volumes is how you're willing to continue to spend taxpayer money to give the most comfortable accommodations to illegal aliens versus our veterans, versus actual American citizens. And what I find to be interesting, these are the same people who are crying about the black community and minority communities and how we are not treated fairly by the federal government. But at the same time, they're diverting resources away from these communities and towards illegal aliens. I wonder how they square that in their mind. I just don't see it. Now, let me play you another clip of this mayor because I think it paints the full picture of who he really is. Take a listen.
First, we have to obviously protect the Constitution of the United States. You can disagree with me on immigration policies. You can disagree that immigrants in New Jersey provide $1 billion or more worth of state and local taxes to our community, who keep our economy going. We can have a debate about that. You know, the facts are the facts, but the reality is violating people's Fourth Amendment rights. We all should be opposed to that. We should all be opposed to, undermining due process. Everyone, no matter who you are, Republican, Democrat, Independent, should stand together in defending the Constitution of the United States. This is a thing that makes this country different than any other country around the world, a Bill of Rights. So we cannot allow the slippery slope to begin, which Trump has already begun. We have to push back against that. And so we have to protect folks in our community. We have to protect those who are documented and those who are undocumented. Everybody in this country, unless you are a Sioux or Arawak or the Blackfeet, at some point you were undocumented, and or your family members were undocumented. And so it's important for us to protect due process more than anything else. And that's what governors need to do: protect the Constitution, protect the courts, protect due process.
It's very clear we know what his mindset is. Now, understand something. He leans in on progressive ideals. He's actually running to be the governor of New Jersey in the next election here. And the fact of the matter is he supports making sure that a detention center is not open. OK, so it just goes to show you that he supports sanctuary city policies. And we know how that has worked out. Now, here is the new Attorney General of New Jersey, Alina Habba, and what she had to say. Take a listen.
I mean, the hypocrisy is real here, Martha. So what do they want? I mean, I'm going to ask them the question. Do you want us to have facilities so that these illegals can have due process, even though they have administrative orders that say that they have gone through the court system and they should be deported? Or do you want us to just put them on a plane and ship them out? Here you have a mayor who's slamming opening up a facility, is obviously grandstanding because he is running for governor, and is getting in the way of us giving due process when they complain about it. It's unbelievable. So what would they prefer, them on the street or just get on the plane? You can't make it up. We don't know what they stand for anymore. All I can tell you is all they stand for is anything anti right now, anything anti the DOJ's efforts, ICE's efforts to come down on criminals who came in illegally. And it's got to stop. It's a waste of taxpayer dollars. I know in Newark in particular, we have so much crime, gangs. I'm working there. I work there every day. We need to refocus taxpayer dollars on real things. This grandstanding needs to stop. It's a waste of time.
It is pure hypocrisy. And I told you guys, Democrats don't want to actually fix the issue. They'd rather enable it. Okay. Republicans are looking to solve the issue here, but Democrats just want to criticize how they go about it, but they're not offering any solutions. You guys get the recurring theme here. It's going to continue to happen, by the way, over the next 4 years. Now, what's interesting in our next story is Newark is also in the news for an entirely different reason, which is also concerning, by the way, and that is the airport and how air traffic controllers allegedly walked off the job because they are traumatized by how jacked up the system is over there, and they are claiming that it's not even safe to fly into that airport. Take a listen.
If you've taken a flight in the past few days, you might have sensed something's up. As we reported on Friday, the United States is dealing with a shortage of air traffic controllers. How much of a shortage? 3,000 of them. And Newark, New Jersey, which is an international airport just south of New York City, has been feeling a lot of the chaos. According to FlightAware on Saturday and Sunday, 1,175 flights going into Newark or departing Newark were either delayed or canceled. On Friday, some air traffic controllers at Newark even walked off the job.
Now, let me explain the political side to this so you guys get the full picture here. Air traffic controllers, we've always had a shortage. The equipment we've been using, it's always been outdated. And there has yet to be an administration who's willing to do the hard thing to actually overhaul it because it's chaotic. Let's just be honest. It's a painful process to update this and solve this issue. And it's not going to happen overnight. So politically, people don't want to touch it. Okay. And of course, MSNBC is doing what they always do. They start running anti-Trump rhetoric in response to this chaos. Take a listen.
Donald Trump's top campaign donor, Elon Musk, demanded publicly that the FAA administrator must resign. He needs to resign. At that point, the FAA administrator was only about a year into his 5-year term. There had been no major U.S. plane crashes in years and years and years. But under his leadership, the FAA had issued a few $100,000 fines against Elon Musk's company, SpaceX. And so there's Elon Musk. He must resign. He must resign. A few weeks later, thanks in part to Elon Musk providing the largest political donation in the history of the United States, Elon Musk's candidate gets elected president, and that FAA administrator who Elon Musk had publicly hunted, he sees the writing on the wall and he resigns. And the new president, Donald Trump, doesn't even bother to name a replacement. He hasn't even bothered to put an acting official in the job of running the Federal Aviation Administration until after that mid-air collision over the Potomac. He has, however, picked the husband of one of his favorite Fox News hosts, a guy who was once a contestant on The Real World on MTV, a guy with no aviation or transportation experience whatsoever. He has picked him to be his Secretary of Transportation, a man who has never run anything large.
Now, if you were to believe everything that she says, you would probably say, yeah, this is crazy. Why would Elon Musk do such a thing? President Trump, he doesn't know what he's doing. But when you actually look at the facts, you find out that that is just propaganda right there. Let me give you an example. Fact number one, to date, this has been one of the lowest years when it comes to plane accidents. Okay. So even though she said, oh, there was no major plane accident in America, that's not true. Last year alone was one of the highest years. But fine, I get it. They're anti-Trump. But I just want to make sure you guys hear both sides of this, okay? And by the way, Elon Musk calling for the FAA administrator to resign makes sense to me when they believe in all this DEI woke stuff. And she also criticized Sean Duffy because she claims he never managed anything large. Well, neither did Pete Buttigieg. The largest job he ever held was a mayor of a local town. Stop it.
We have really old infrastructure in America. It hasn't been updated in the last 30, 40 years. This should have been dealt with in the last administration. They did nothing. So the primary communication line went down. The backup line didn't fire. And so for 30 seconds, we lost contact with air traffic.
That's a big problem, don't you think?
It is. Now, were planes going to crash? No, they have communication devices. They can see other air traffic like GPS in the airplanes. But it's a sign that we have a frail system in place, and it has to be fixed. But by the way, so there's delays now at Newark. Well, if you're driving down the road at 70 miles an hour and you get white paint in your windshield, you slow down. So we've slowed the traffic down at Newark. There's a runway that's under construction, and our primary goal is to make sure people are safe. And so when you have an incident like this, both lines now work, Laura, but when you have an incident like this, you want to make sure that people are safe. And so you just have less departures out of the airport until we feel comfortable and safe that the system isn't going to go down again.
And it's interesting as I hear this story, how the mayor of Newark is focused on the wrong things, right? He's trying to fight the Trump administration from opening a detention center when he should be fighting for the lives and the safety of people flying into his airport. Furthermore, he should be leveraging the intelligence and experience from Elon Musk, who currently is launching more rockets than anybody on this planet into space. But hey, they hate the man, so probably that's not a great idea in their eyes. Now, speaking of fighting for people's lives, President Trump signed a bombshell executive order. And yes, it is a bombshell. It is now preventing gain-of-function research from being funded and operated overseas. Take a listen to this.
This is a historic day. The conduct of this dangerous gain-of-function research, which aims at taking pathogens and making them more virulent, more transmissible in humans, many scientists believe is responsible for the COVID pandemic. The conduct of this research does not protect us against pandemics, as some people might say. It doesn't protect us against other nations. What it does is there's always a danger that in doing this research, it might leak out just by accident even, and cause a pandemic. Any nation that engages in this research endangers their own population as well as the world, as we saw during the COVID pandemic. This proclamation makes it so that most science is actually poses no threat to human populations. The vast majority of science will go on under this as normal. But the fraction of this research that has the risk of causing a pandemic, harming every single person on the face of the earth, we're going to put it, this proclamation, this executive order puts in place a framework to make sure that the public has a say, that if such a risk is being taken, that only scientists alone won't be able to decide that. That in fact the public can say, no, don't take this risk. And I'm really, really proud to be here with President Trump, who's signed this order, ending this research, and for the first time putting in place a real regulatory framework to make it go away forever.
And I would argue that this is probably one of the first executive orders in an effort to prevent what happened during COVID. It's quite sad that it took till President Trump to actually do something about this. Now, again, Congress will need to do their job and make this an actual law. But this is President Trump taking the first step and making his intentions known that whatever happened during COVID, we want to do whatever we can to prevent it. Now, here's RFK Jr. on Fox News going a little deeper about why this is so crucial. Take a listen.
As you pointed out, gain-of-function studies are the kind of science that is designed to make microbes and pathogens more virulent, more transmissible, and more deadly. It was in this country, they started doing it in 1947, the military and the intelligence agencies, in order to develop bioweapons. In 1969, President Nixon banned it all and shut down Fort Detrick, shut down all the labs. That ban, and then signed the Bioweapons Convention. That ban lasted till 2001. And after the anthrax attacks, Anthony Fauci essentially restarted the arms race and the bioweapons arms race, and did it under the pretension of developing vaccines because of the same science that you develop bioweapons and vaccines. In 2014, 3 of his bugs had escaped, and 300 scientists wrote letters to President Obama asking him to shut down Anthony Fauci. President Obama declared a moratorium, but instead of shutting down his experiments, he moved them offshore, mainly to the Wuhan lab. And now, the principal institutions of our government, the CIA, the FBI, the State Department, Department of Energy, all say that it is most likely that those experiments resulted in the COVID-19 pandemic beginning in 2019. So President Trump today moved to shut down this kind of research in this country and to stop funding it abroad.
And once again, this is a move where President Trump and Democrats should come together and celebrate this. But it won't happen because we know they're only anti-Trump. Now, whether you like them or you hate them, you got to respect them for this executive order. Okay. And again, Congress needs to do their part. But this is an amazing news. This is historic. And by the way, Anthony Fauci, he definitely should be in prison. Let me know if you agree with that. I know that sounds partisan, but I mean, this guy, he's evil. Okay. Now, in our next story, this is another example of something that should have happened long time ago, just like this executive order for the gain of function research. So President Trump has issued tariffs on movies that are being financed by foreign nations. Understand what has happened to Hollywood for many, many years. It's been decimated, okay? So instead of Hollywood actually celebrating this, they're melting down over it. Let's take a listen at what the president said earlier.
Explain a little bit about how you would implement tariffs on the film industry, kind of how that would work.
Well, that's a different story, but our film industry has been decimated by other countries taking them out, and also by incompetence, like in Los Angeles. The governor is a grossly incompetent man. He's just allowed it to be taken away from, Hollywood. Hollywood doesn't do very much of that business. They have the nice sign and everything's good, but they don't do very much. A lot of it's been taken to other countries, and a big proportion. And I'm actually going to meet with some because, there's some advantages, I guess, and I'm not looking to hurt the industry. I want to help the industry. But they're given financing by other countries. They're given a lot of things, and the industry was decimated. So we're going to meet with the industry. I want to make sure they're happy with it because we're all about jobs. That's all what it's very important. It's a big industry, but it's an industry now that's it's really left. It's abandoned the USA where it started, and we'll get it back.
So this announcement from President Trump yesterday is another example of him coming up with solutions to benefit America and also to create job growth. Now, the reaction tells you what's wrong with our country. Instead of people criticizing the president, what they should be doing is finding ways to meet with him and give him better solutions to the problem if they don't agree with his approach. And I'm going to talk more about that as we first cover the facts. So according to Los Angeles Times, they posted this article literally today about this. Motion picture industry payrolls averaged around 100,000 last year through November, down almost 25% from pre-pandemic levels, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The number of film shoot days last year was the second lowest observed by Film LA as the region struggled to rebound from strikes, outsourcing, and technological change. Now, here is Stephen Moore on Newsmax with his reaction. Take a listen.
Let's talk about it. 100% tariffs on movies coming in from overseas. What are your thoughts? Is this needed to save Hollywood, so to speak?
Well, first of all, I think Hollywood did a lot of this to themselves, don't you? I mean, with the crappy movies they've been making, with the ESG, and they're not making pro-family movies. You've seen what's happened with Disney and what happened with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and it's just been taken over by leftists and that are not making great movies. I mean, when's the last time you saw a great movie? I haven't seen one in a long time.
Been a long time. Course,
I totally agree. They can't give any Oscars to any white person, any male, or any blah blah blah. So I think it's Trump is onto something that it's sad to me. Because I grew up, in the 60s and 70s and, great movies. I mean, movies like The Godfather couldn't even be made today in today's Hollywood. So that's my view of this. I think the tariffs may help bring the movie industry back to the United States, but people still aren't going to see movies if they're crap.
Now, before I respond to the point that he made, because I totally agree with it. Listen, DeVory is a guy who grew up watching Trading Places, The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, Happy Gilmore. Like movies like that, okay? I didn't grow up watching the crap that you see today. Like, it's a complete joke. I used to look forward to going to the movie theater every single week. And my wife knows when we first started dating, that's what we used to do. And then the movies started to turn into crap. And then there was a point where you could just find better movies on Netflix. And now I can't remember the last good movie I saw. They can come up with the best tax incentives all they want. President Trump's plan could literally work, bring back jobs, which would be great. But it doesn't mean it will change the fact that progressive hacks have taken over Hollywood, and all they do is create movies that are always virtue signaling. Now, let me get your guys' opinion about everything we discussed in this video, which is quite a bit. What do you think about Newark International Airport and the chaos that's happening, and how MSNBC is using it as a way to target Trump once again and Sean Duffy? And also, what do you think about the movie industry and their reaction to President Trump using tariffs as a way to save themselves, I guess that's the best way to put it? Let me know your thoughts about all that in the comment section below. Now, earlier this morning, President Trump made two big announcements in a way to outmaneuver the courts. If you missed out on that story and more from earlier today, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.